Have you ever had one of those calls where you went, oh, I think I just made that really confusing? Watching your words, our topic for today on Quick Start Your Success. Well, we need to watch our words because if not, it can be like one of these puzzles where we intend one thing to be seen or understood, and yet somebody sees or comprehends something differently. We can't go to this without talking about a couple different things about words. They have what is called a denotation and a connotation. Now, don't get hung up about these big words about what it is. I'm going to tell you. Denotation is the definition of the word. It's the actual meaning of the word if you were to look it up in a dictionary. It's the connotation of the word that sometimes gets us into trouble. And when we say it, it's common for us, but for somebody to hear it, they get a whole different feel. Let's look at a couple of these examples that I have from DataWorks. The word consider, it's neutral, think about on there. But on either end of the spectrum, we can have a positive or a negative connotation to it. So the example of agonize, well, it's still to think about, but agonize has that negative connotation like, ooh, versus ponder, like meditate on. That has a very positive connotation, but they both overlap as to be something you consider or think about. The other example that is here from the DataWorks is the word walk. Okay, moving along. Very neutral word. It means to move forward. Now, the negative connotation is trudge, like our kids do. They trudge along. Has a negative connotation versus stroll. It seems very easy. So there's this overlap, and we want to make sure that we're using positive connotative words when we're explaining things to our patients. Also, while realizing that things that are comfortable to us, as I mentioned, may be awkward or scary to them. So we have to watch out. So we're going to talk about this great exchange. I'm going to first pull up things I tend to hear. What's the problem with your teeth? Or what's the problem with whatever? Well, problem is like, oh, I'm bad? I'm wrong? And when we say teeth or your stomach or whatever the case may be, they're like, oh my goodness, what are you thinking about me? Oh. Then we have another one. They have you here for just a quick check. We talked about the word just. It's a devaluing word. And the word check. Remember, as we said, check is something that is from afar. Yeah, check, dot, 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 dot. And especially on the phone, we can't see that there's actually a contact point during that time. Third one, no, we don't have Friday appointments. When somebody asks us a question, lead with what we can do, not the negative. Because no, if you saw it on a wave pattern, no is very strong and high and intense. And then you might have some pain. Ooh, pain? We have just validated anybody's fear on something that they may be nervous about already. And then when you decide to move forward, we would take these records. It's very wishy-washy. It's not strong. So let's exchange these. First one. When you look in the mirror, what do you notice about your smile, or notice about your figure, or notice about that? We're not making any judgment. It's simply an observation. So it sounds so much nicer. Or how about the doctor has requested an evaluation appointment? All these are much stronger, richer words that upholds the value for them actually making the time to come in. And then when somebody asks, are you open Fridays? Instead of saying, no, we're not, it's, we currently see patients Monday through Thursday. By saying what you can do, the absence of what you don't say is what we don't do. It sounds so much nicer on the phone. Moving on, you may experience some tenderness. Tenderness is a lot easier to hear because it sounds honest. That it's not going to be pain-free or discomfort-free, but we're not using that word pain. Tenderness is a much better connotation of the word. And then finally, if or when you decide, we could take records the same day. And that is for a same day start. So we have to balance between if and when on here. So it's when you decide to move forward, we will take records if we're talking the future. But if we're talking a same day start, we might soften it a little bit more. If you decide to get started the same day, we could take records for you at this time. So it's all a matter of what we're trying to portray. Then when we talk about word choice, we have to talk about customer recovery, or for those upset callers. Now, what I hope you've noticed is by using all of these habits we've talked along, you're finding I don't have as many upset callers. And you're right. Things like that first and last responses are preventing it from ever happening because we're treating them with kindness. And by doing so, we're actually demonstrating how to treat us. You've heard different counselors say, demonstrate for others how you want them to treat yourself, and you're doing so. And you've wrapped that conversation in a beautiful presentation. But there's always going to be times when we have to do customer recovery. So what I've done is I've pulled up a couple well-known names and the way they have laid it out. So for Starbucks, what they remember, the acronym they remember is latte. So listen, acknowledge, take action, thank, and explain. And the explain is explaining back to their leaders what has happened. And what you're going to see is across Marriott, some of the similar things, they just use a different acronym. And theirs is learn. Oh, there's that listen, empathize, okay, apologize, respond, notify, again, letting somebody know. Very similar. The one I'd like for us to remember is this, alert, because you think, whoa, whoa, whoa. And what it stands for is this, apologize, listen, empathize, resolve, and thank. Let's take each one. Apologize. I apologize you had an experience that did not meet your expectations. That's an apology, because what they do not want to hear is sorry. Think about it. How many times do we tell our toddlers, tell them you're sorry, and they don't mean it, and they say sorry. So when we use sorry on the phone, it's like those parenting ears go, ugh. So use the word apologize. And what we can apologize is for an experience that didn't meet their expectations. That is something we can apologize for. It serves the purpose and helps to quiet what's going on. Listen. Don't interrupt. Let me give you an illustration for this. How many of you have ever had one of the Instant Pots? The pressure cookers that we have? I have got one of those. And the warning on there is, when you release the steam, do not put your hand in front of it. And don't try to open the lid before the steam and the pressure has been released. Same principle applies here. I want you to listen and not interrupt. Because otherwise, it's like putting your hand in front of that steam. You are going to get scalded. But once the steam dissipates, once the pressure resolves, you can safely put your hand in front of there. You can safely take the lid off. So when you have an upset caller, this is so key. Listen. Let the pressure release. They may be simply frustrated and need to vent, which is why we use the term vent. You know you do it. You call your girlfriend up, and you go, oh, thank you for letting me vent. Use it here. Empathize then. So after that pressure's been released, I can appreciate how you can feel that. I can understand why that is frustrating. Use some type of response that shows you heard them and you can empathize with them. And then we need to resolve it. As we said, I don't want you to give them the moon, but But I want you to think about it. This is a scenario that is hot. And so even if this person is not a fire, it is a fire scenario. And let's recall, what does a fire need? Options and authority, which means the ability to make the choice. So think about it. The way we offer appointments is the way we're going to offer a resolution. So here it is. Mrs. Jones, I have a couple options for you. They are A and B. Which would work best for you? Then we want to make sure we think, because in today's social media world, they could have put this out somewhere in social media. So we want to thank them for actually bringing it to our attention and giving us the opportunity to fix it up. So thank you for bringing this to my attention so we could get a solution. Is there anything else I can help you with today? So there you go. Alert. Remember the alert. This is something to print out and put up by your stations, because what I hope is this is so rare to happen that you want to make sure you have a guide for you. Print it up and have it ready. All these are about making sure that we have the best word choice in the various scenarios. I'm Amy Demas. Till next time, go communicate excellence.